Okay, hello AOS fans, here are the Grymwatch cards for you to look at in all their glory. Starting with the ploys, we have Appalling Visage. Choose one friendly fighter and one adjacent enemy fighter. Push the chosen enemy fighters 2 hexes away from the chosen friendly fighter. Quite handy for getting people off objectives and pushing them away, so and keeping out of charge range. Maybe your heavy hitters. Quite an interesting control card there. GW working hard on the control cards. Combat Drill. Just in case I put Appalling Visage out of view, there it is. Combat Drill. Reaction. After a friendly fighter's move action made as part of a charge action, choose another friendly fighter. The chosen fighter makes a move action. The chosen fighter must end the move action adjacent to the fighter making the charge action. Interesting again. The Grymwatch appear to be kind of a weight of numbers warband, and that is worn out by that card there. Double time. Reaction. Play this after a friendly fighter's move action, but not during a super action. That fighter makes another move action. So again, some control things could be handy because the bring back mechanic could bring them back in a not useful place. So that's pretty great. I think a pretty interesting card. Horrifying Spectacle. No, these aren't Pete's new glasses. Its reaction. Play this during an attack action or gambit that has dealt enough damage to an enemy fighter to take it out of action. But before removing the fighter from the battlefield, all friendly fighters adjacent to that fighter are inspired. Fantastic. So basically, and the artwork on that is pretty grim. No, it's not one for the kids, that artwork. And well, yes. So that is quite good because they're not that easy to inspire. But basically, by the horrendousness of the kill, you inspire your other bloodlusting, eating the bad guys, good guys, food for dinner. God, I messed those words up. Pack Advance. Choose one or more friendly crypt ghouls and push each of the fighters up to 2 hexes. Up to 2 hexes. Recycled Riches. Recycled Riches. Take all cards from your power discard pile that have Grymwatch Warband symbol, shuffle them face down, and then add the top card to your hand. Return the other cards to the power discard pile. Interesting. Interesting little gambit there. Scrabbling Claws. Choose one enemy fighter that has one or more upgrades and is adjacent to one or more friendly fighters. The chosen fighter's player picks one of that fighter's upgrades and discards it. I have to say, this card, I've got a bit of a sore throat today. These cards are killing me. Choose one or more enemy fighter that has more upgrades and is adjacent to one or more friendly fighters. The chosen fighter's player picks one of the fighters and discards it. Whoa. Shattering Impact. Play this after a friendly fighter's attack action. If that fighter has one or more upgrades, pick one of their upgrades on their out of their target attack and discard both of them. Interesting. So you will smash into people after an attack action. Break their upgrades. Stench of Victory. Play this during a friendly fighter's successful attack action and push somebody up to 3 hexes. I read that one out in my other video. Strident Summons. A friendly Crackmarrow makes the ghoul call action as a ploy. So it's restricted to Crackmarrow, so it's got to be alive. Yeah, you can basically bring somebody back for free, or for the cost of a ploy. Aura of Command. Choose 2 other friendly fighters. You cannot choose fighters with any move or charge tokens. Each of the chosen fighters makes a move action. So extra move actions. It's all about the extra move actions, this warband. Reaction after activation. Push this fighter 1 hex towards an enemy fighter that has 1 or more wound tokens. So basically, yes, that's an upgrade for the Duke's Harriers. And they can, if you've got a one or more wound takers, you can shift towards them. I'm presumably looking for lunch. That's the Duke's Harriers are the bats, if you remember. They've got a picture of the bats on there to help remind me. Gift of Madness. Yes, what everybody wants for Christmas, the Gift of Madness. After this fighter's move action, if this fighter is holding objective, place a madness counter. Oh, here are the madness counters. They are here. They are here. It's the madness counters. So, So while there are one or more madness counters on this card, this fighter cannot be pushed. Remove all madness counters from this card when a fighter makes a move action. So it's kind of like a rubbish guard counter, really. So there you go. So that is the madness. You can put them on there. They can't be pushed back. It's a reaction after you've made a move action onto an objective. They cannot be pushed back. Interesting. So we have found the madness counters. There they are. We found them in the game. Heroic Vision, +1 dice to this fighter's range 1 and range 2 attack actions. Nice, I think they're going to need that. They haven't got many good attacks, so that +1 dice is going to be useful. It's an upgrade, it's universal for anybody, which is good. Hunter's Nose, presumably they've cut it off of somebody else's fighter, maybe trying to eat it. Each enemy fighter is a quarry. I think I did read that one out before. +1 dice to this fighter's attack actions that target a quarry, and that is restricted to Valric. Oh, Valric. Impervious Delusion. If this fighter would be dealt more than 2 damage by an attack action or gambit, they are instead dealt 2 damage. What? This fighter cannot be further modified. What? If this fighter would be dealt more than 2 damage... I see. If this fighter would be dealt more than 2 damage by an attack action or gambit, they are instead dealt 2 damage. So if you're going to be hit for a lot of damage, then you only take 2 damage, and this cannot be further modified, so you can't then use something like Potion of Constitution or something to reduce it. That is Impervious Delusion. And that is unrestricted. The Right Hand Ghoul. Yes, nobody wants to lose their right hand ghoul. Reflection after a friendly's Crack Marrow's move action. If this fighter has a move or charge token, you can move them up to be next to them. It's restricted to Grisserwell. And then we've got Seized Weapon, which is when you give this upgrade a friendly fighter from your hand, one adjacent enemy fighter is dealt 1 damage, and it's a 3 sword attack with 2 damage. Not bad at all. 7 trophy. It's Crack Marrow only. Does an additional glory point, so it's like a Tome of Offerings or the other one, various cards that do that. Well Motivated is a bit like Great Strength, but it's an extra one you can take without moving into the restricted Incredible Strength, which actually isn't in the game anymore, but +1 damage to this fighter's range 1 and range 2 attack actions. Pretty useful. Bravely Done. It was an objective. Score this immediately when a friendly fighter with 1 or more supporting fighters takes an enemy fighter out of action with an attack action. So it's all about surrounding and bringing somebody down. This warband. The Charnel House. It's a hybrid. Score this in an end phase if all surviving friendly fighters are in enemy territory or there are no fighters in your territory. Well, this is the one we talked about in the unboxing video. It basically is Conquest and Denial all in one go, but you can score either way, but it's only worth 2. Whereas Denial obviously is worth 3. Conquering Heroes. Score this in an end phase if your warband holds 1 or more objectives in enemy territory. Could be fairly easy the way this game is going. Defending the Hearth. Score this immediately when an enemy fighter is taken out of action in your territory. So it's like a free defensive strike. Ghoul Pack. Score this immediately after an activation if 3 or more friendly fighters are adjacent to the same enemy fighter. So all about swarming and bringing people down. I think there are a few Nightmare objectives that marry up with these, nowhere to go and things like that. Could be useful to work together. Score this in an end phase if 3 or more surviving friendly fighters are inspired. In the Name of the King. Score this immediately after an activation if your warband holds 3 or more objectives. It's worth 2. It's basically our only way out, but it's Surge, so you haven't got to get, so it's better than our only way out. Score this immediately if you can get on 3. So it's similar to the Grashrak, has a similar objective. Incomprehensible Scheme. Score this in an end phase if your warband holds more objectives than each enemy warband. Interesting. Could be depending on who you're playing. That could be easy or hard to score it. Mordant Triumph. Score this in the end phase if you have scored 5 or more Surge objective cards in this game. Well, with the restriction on Surge objective cards, that's not as easy as it could be. You've basically got to score all of them bar 1 under the new rules. Mouths to Feed. Score this in an end phase if there are fewer surviving enemy fighters than there are enemy fighters out of action. Score this in an end phase if there are fewer surviving enemy fighters than there are enemy fighters out of action. So that one's a good one if you're on the way to bringing down your enemy towards the end of the game. Quite an interesting mechanic, that one. Pervasive Delusion. Score this immediately when you play your third or subsequent Gambit card. Could be good. I haven't got any spells this warband. And Shifting Madness. I like this one. Score this immediately. The activation your warband holds the objective with the same number as the current round. It's pretty great, that. So interesting times there for these guys. They've got some very objective focused objectives. What do you think of them? I think they're really nice. I really like the way these guys are going to play. We do know what the Madness tokens do now. We do know from the look at the fighter cards, we do know what the Feast tokens do. And well, it's going to be interesting. Just having a look how many surge objectives they actually have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they have 6, which is what you expect because it is tournament legal, and you can score the one that means you've got to score 5 or more. Interesting though, it's a lot to score. But lots of objective play there. I can see you've got to surround your opponent to bring them down and try and nab some objectives too. The bring back mechanics is really interesting. I'm really looking forward to playing the Grymwatch. Yes, Pete and I will be playing them. Hopefully that video will be live already. And you can see it on Ages of Sigmar. Do let me know what your favourite cards are. Do let me know if I've probably made some mistakes. I'm literally just reading them through for the first time as I've gone through them. But hopefully you found that useful. Hopefully you found it interesting and vaguely entertaining. And we'll see you soon on the Agents of Sigmar. Bye!